Hello everyone. In this session, we will learn some basic concepts of microeconomics. So let us start with understanding what economics is. So economics is the study of how people allocate scarce resources for production, distribution and consumption, both individually and collectively. The study of economics is primarily concerned with analyzing the choices that individual, businesses, governments and nations make to allocate the limited resources, and it has the ramification on a wide range of other fields including politics, psychology, business and law. Now, assuming humans have unlimited wants within a world of limited means, economics analyzes how resources are allocated for production, distribution and consumption. And the study of microeconomics focuses on the choice of individual and businesses, and the macroeconomics concentrates on the behavior of economy on an aggregate level. Okay, so the microeconomics concerns only at a micro level, that means individual and businesses or a group of people, but while macroeconomics concentrates on a behavior of the whole economy at a larger picture. It shows the larger picture of the economy. Okay, coming to the microeconomics, it studies how individual, consumer and farms make a decision to allocate the resources, whether a single person, a household or a business. Economists may analyze how these entities respond to change in price and why they demand what they demand, why do they demand at a particular price level. So it analyzes how and why goods are valued differently, how individual makes financial decision and how they trade, coordinate and cooperate. Okay, so within the dynamics of supply and demand, the cost of producing goods and services and how labor is divided and allocated, microeconomics studies how businesses are organized and how the individual approach uncertainty and risk in their decision makings. Now, the economic problem, that is scarcity and choice. So human beings have many needs and wants. Some of these needs are satisfied by the physical objects and others by the non-physical object activities. All these physical objects that people need and want are called as goods, such as food, clothing, house, book, computers, cars, television, refrigerators and so on, while the non-physical activities are called the services, such as education, healthcare, entertainment, travel, banking, insurance and many more. So the study of economics arises because the pupil needs and wants are unlimited or infinite, and whereas some of the individual may be satisfied with the goods or services they have or they can buy, but most would prefer to have more, and they would like to have more and more and better, like better computers, better cars, education services, better transportation services, better housing or recreation, travel and so on. The list is endless. So we have understood that human beings have n number of demands or the desires. Okay, so scarcity is a very important concept in economics. It arises whenever there is not enough of something in relation to the need for it. For example, we would say that food is scarce in poor countries, or we could say that clean air is scarce in the polluted cities. In economics, scarcity is especially important in describing a situation of insufficient factor of production, because this in turn lead to the insufficient goods and services. As we know, our resources are limited. That means it can lead to the insufficient goods and services that we are desiring. Now, scarcity is the situation in which the available resources or factor of production are finite, whereas our wants are infinite. So there are not enough resources to produce everything that human being need and want. That is the scarcity. We want each and everything, but there are limited number of resources that is known as the scarcity situation. Now, unlimited wants refers to the human's unstable appetite for the things we never got enough, because there is always something else that we need or want. The term unlimited want is the side of the human nature that wants an infinite number of things. However, the resources we have available to get these wants are limited. So there are two conditions, or there are two situations. First is limited resources while having the unlimited wants. Okay. Now, the problem of choice. Since we are living in a world of scarcity, a society can produce only a small portion of goods and services that its people want. Therefore, scarcity of resources gives rise to the fundamental economic problem of choice. As a society cannot produce enough goods and services to satisfy all the wants of its people, it has to make a decision. And a decision to produce one good requires a decision to produce less of some other goods. So the choice involves sacrifice. Thus, every society is faced with the basic problem of deciding what it is willing to sacrifice to produce the good it wants the most. That means if a economy want to produce a particular goods, so it has a limited number of resources, so it cannot produce all these goods, so it has to choose one or two goods that is most important, or the people are most desiring for that particular product. So they have to make a choice between all of this product to select one or two or three products that they are willing to produce. So this is known as the problem of choice. Now, a production possibility curve shows all the possible combination of two goods that a society can produce within a specific time period whose resources are fully and efficiently employed. Now, on the axis we are measuring good X, and on the Y axis we are measuring good Y. So PP1 is the production possibility curve in the figure, which shows that the problem of choice between two goods X and Y in a country. So good X is measured on the horizontal axis while the goods Y is measured on the vertical axis. So PP curve shows all the combination of X and Y goods that can be produced by a country within its resources fully and efficiently employs. If a country chooses to produce more of X, it would have to sacrifice the production of some quantity of Y good, and the sacrifice of some quantity of Y good is the opportunity cost of producing some extra quantity of X. So PP curve is a downward sloping curve because the to produce more goods of X involves producing less number of Y in a fully employed economy. Okay. The scarcity forces every economy in world, regardless of its form of organization, to answer three basic questions. And these questions are known as the central problem of economy. These questions are what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. So what to produce means all the economies must choose what particular goods and services and what quantity of this they wish to produce. And for how to produce, it includes all the economists must make a decision on how to use their resources in order to produce goods and services. Goods and services can be produced by using the different combination of factor of production. For example, relatively more human labor with a fewer machine, or relatively more machines with less labor, by using different skill levels of labor and by using different technologies. Now, for whom to produce? All the economists must make a choice about how the goods and services produced are to be distributed among the population. Should everyone get an equal amount of this? Should some of people get more of than others? Should some goods and services such as education and healthcare and services to be distributed more equally? So the first two questions, that are what to produce and how to produce, are about resource allocation. That means how we are going to use our resources. While the third one, that concerns for whom to produce, is about the distribution of our output and income. That means the good that we have produced, how we will distribute that, for whom we are going to sell that goods, or for whom we are allocating that particular resources. Okay. So the first question, what to produce, is related to the selection of goods to be produced and as per the market analysis and consumer demand. While the second question, how to produce, is related to the selection of technique of production, right? Whether it is a labor intensive technique or a capital intensive technique. So in labor intensive technique, we are going to use more of labor, and so the labor is greater than the capital. While for the capital intensive technique, we are going to use more of the capital than the labor, so the capital will be more than labor. And the final question, for whom to produce, is related to the part of society for whom the goods are to be produced. Okay, so according to the distribution of income or according to the availability of resources. Okay. So we have seen that resources or all the inputs used to produce goods and services are also known as factor of production. An economist group factor of production under the four broad categories, that are land, labor, capital and entrepreneurship. So let us discuss the first one, land. It includes all the natural resources, including all agriculture and non-agriculture land, as well as everything that is under or above land, such as minerals, oil reserves, underground water, forests, rivers and lakes. While the another factor of production, that is labor, includes the physical and the mental effort that the people contribute towards the production of goods and services. The effort of a teacher, a constructor worker, an economist, a doctor, a taxi driver or a plumber all contributes to the producing the goods and services are the example of labor. Coming to the third factor, that is capital, which is also known as physical capital, which is a man-made factor of production that is used to produce the goods and services. For example, physical capital includes machinery, tools, factories, buildings, road system, airports, electricity generators, and telephone supply lines, and all this. So physical capital is also referred to as a capital of goods or investment of goods. That means capital means money, as well as that the machinery, tools, factory or building that we have put our money to buy those machines, factories or buildings. These are all comes under the capital. Now coming to the fourth factor, that is entrepreneurship, or we can also say management, is a special human skill possessed by some people involving the ability to innovate by developing new ways of doing things, to take business risk, and to seek the new opportunity for opening and running a business. Entrepreneurship organizes the other three factors of production and takes on the risk of success or failure of a business. That means in these four factors, the most important factor is entrepreneurship. So if economy has all these three, land, labor and capital, but inefficient entrepreneurship, then they cannot use their resources optimally. So entrepreneurship plays a very important role as a factor of production that organizes all these three factor of production and takes the risk of success or failure of a business. So let us see economics as a science. So science is defined as a branch of knowledge that is associated with cause and effect relationship and analyzes economic factors. It contributes in combining various sections of science like statistics, mathematics, etc. to understand the relationship between price, supply, demand and various economical determinants. So there are basically two types of economics. One is positive economics and another is normative economics. So positive economics is examine the connection between the two variables, but it does not furnishes any value judgment, which means that if only it only states that what is or what it deals with, the fact that is related to the economy. Whereas according to the normative science, economics transfer value judgment, which indicates what ought to be. And this form of science is involved in policy required to achieve these economical goals. Now let us understand the basic competitive model in economics. So the basic competitive model in economics deals with the free market economy, where the firm's motive is the maximization of profit and the consumer are well informed. It is a situation of perfect competition where the prices cannot be controlled by any single buyer or seller, but it is decided by the market condition. The firm are run to generate the maximum profit of themselves and the customers are rational. Certain features of these models are homogeneous product. So the goods or services is assumed to be homogeneous or identical. There is no difference in the goods or services in any way. For example, a person goes to buy tomatoes in the market and finds two sellers are selling the same quality of the tomatoes. So here the buyer has no preference to buy the tomatoes except the price. So whoever gives it at a cheaper rate, the buyer will buy the tomato from that seller. So there is no preference of brand, so on the customer loyalty present. Okay. The next one is a large number of buyers and sellers. There are a large number of buyers and sellers in the market. The firm can easily enter or exit the market and no single buyer has any control over the market decision. Single firm or customer do not play any role in setting the price. For example, if an onion seller one day decided to stop selling the onion, it would not affect the price of that onion. Is it clear? So the next one is pricing. So there is no power in hands of a single buyer or seller. It's the market interaction of demand and supply that determines the price. For example, the price of air conditioners are low in winter season and in summers due to its high demand, its prices increases and the seller produce their goods or services keeping in mind a higher rate of profit. So no individual has the power to create any impact on the price of the goods or services, and individuals who agreed upon the market price and follow it are said to be the price takers. The next one is well-informed buyers and sellers. So the buyers and sellers in this model have complete information about the product or services as the knowledge is freely available. So the seller is informed about the technologies, prices and production process, and the producer is informed about the cost that is involved in production process and what amount of incentive does he expected to gain, and they try to gain the maximum amount of profit by reducing their cost of production. Whereas the buyer is informed about the price prevailing in the market and the buyer makes an informed choice of how they would attain the maximum satisfaction from their purchase as they are on a budget. So well informed and buyers and seller means the buyer has all this information about what is the price of that product and how he is going to get the maximum satisfaction from that particular product, whereas the seller has all this information about the new technologies, what is the price of the market, what is its cost, and they always try to get a higher to get a maximum of profit by reducing their cost of that particular good. Now, coming to the concept of property right, a property right is the legal entitlement to use, control, and dispose of a resource, including land, building, or other personal properties. Its establishment aimed to promote the economical efficiency by facilitating the creation of market for goods and services and allowing for efficient allocation of resources. Property right refers to the legal rights that enables individual to own, control and transfer property. They provide personal freedom and autonomy by allowing individuals to decide about their properties, and possessing right also offers protection against the arbitrary action of governments and ensure compensation if private property is taken for the public use. Like whenever the railway takes the land of the general public, they gives the compensation to the general public. And in addition, these rights are essential for the economical growth and development, as they encourage people to invest and improve their property. Now, there are three types of property, right? The first one is real property, right? So, this refers to the right of ownership and use of land and building, including the physical land right and the right of minerals like oils and other natural resources founded on the land. If they are violated, they can be enforced legally. For example, owners can take legal action to protect their right if someone uses or generate the profit from their land or building without his or her permission. Whereas the second category is personal property right. So this refers to the right of ownership and use of movable things such as cars, jewelry, furniture, and other items. So this right can be transferred or sold to to others through the legal means such as sale, inheritance, or as a collateral for loan. And the third type is intellectual property right, which includes patent, trademark, copyrights, trade secrets, which involves the ownership and the use of idea and creation. And intellectual property right owners have an exclusive right to use and make the profit from their idea or their creation, and others cannot use or earn profit from their property without the owner's permission. If they want to use that particular intellectual property, then they have to take the um, ownership, or they have to take the permission from their particular owner, then only they can use. Okay. Now, let us see how profit plays an important role in a farm or overall in an economy. So, profit is the surplus revenue after a farm paid his all cost. So, profit can be seen as a monetary reward to the shareholders and owners of a business. In a capitalistic economy, profit play an important role in creating the incentives for businesses and enterprises. For an incoming farm, the reward of higher profit will encourage them to try and cut the cost and develop new products. If an industry is profitable, it will encourage the new farms to enter in the market. And if a farm becomes unprofitable, it will either have to adopt a new technology, or they have to change, or finally they have to shut down their business. And this profit motive can help in increasing the efficiency, providing greater choice for consumers, allocating resources according to their consumer preferences. So let us see their importance. In aspect of efficiency, the profit encourages the farm to cut down the cost and increase the efficiency, whereas for innovation, it encourages the entrepreneurs to create the new products which may be profitable in near future. The fund investment, a higher profit gives the farm the capacity to invest in research and development for the betterment of that particular farm and as an economy as a whole. So incentive higher profit encourages resources to follow to the profitable areas. And wages, the higher profit enables a rise in wages for the workers so that they can get a higher amount of salary or wages. And the corporate tax, the government tax corporate profit to gain the revenue, so the government will also earn a higher rate of higher amount of tax so that they can use for the betterment of that particular nation. Now, the another influencing factor is price. So the price effect in an economics state the impact of price on the demand for the good and services due to the slight fluctuation. The primary purpose of this concept is to determine the relationship between the price and quantity purchased. and therefore it helps to determine the elasticity of demand for a particular product or services. And as we know, there is an inverse relationship between the price and the demand. As the price increases, the demand of that particular product decreases. So businesses can determine the optimum price point for their products or services by analyzing these effects. Hence, two type of impact influences the price. The first one is income and the second one is substitution. That means if customers income is rising, then there is a chance that the demand will also increase, and if there is a substitution of product available in the market, then there is a chance that for that particular product the demand may fall. Yet other factors include changes in the interest rate and other monetary policies. It indicates how customers react when the price of that particular product changes. However, other things remaining constant. Okay. So the next concept is rationing. So rationing is the practice of controlling the distribution of goods or services in order to cope with the scarcity. And rationing is a mandate of the government at the local or federal level. It can be undertaken in response to adverse weather condition, trade or import-export restriction, or in more extreme cases during a recession or a war. An individual might be allotted a certain amount of food per week. For example, a household might be allotted to water at their lawns only on the certain days. The government undertakes measures to ensure the price stability and control supplies of the essential goods such as food, fuel, medicine, etc. Now, why rationing is important? As we know, our factor of production is scarce. That means we have a limited number of resources. So once the government will distribute all these resources to the public, then all these resources will be exhausted. Then in the worst situation or the bad situation like recession, war, they have nothing to give it to the people or the public. So the government has to take the decision rationally and control the distribution of goods and services in order to cope up with the scarcity of that particular product. So policy measured by the government and the businesses, and to manage the scarcity of commodities and goods, services, and the capital also, and to ensure the stability of price, as well as it mitigates the storage of the supply. Now let us see what is opportunity cost. So opportunity cost is defined as the value of next best alternative that must be given up to sacrifice in order to obtain something else. The concept of opportunity cost, or the value of next best alternative that must be sacrificed to obtain something else, is the central to the economical perspective of the world and results from the scarcity that forces choice to be made. And it represents the potential benefit that a business, an investor, or an individual consumer missed out when choosing one alternative over another. So let's say there are two products X and Y. So due to the scarcity of resources, that particular nation can only produce one of that. So if he is choosing the X product, then for the X product the opportunity cost is the cost of that particular Y, and if he is choosing the Y product, then the cost of X is the opportunity cost of that particular Y. This is due to the basically the scarcity, and that forces for the choice to be made, as the economy cannot produce all the goods. So we have to choose, and that generates or that gives the birth of the opportunity cost. But note that if the resources were limitless, so no sacrifice would be necessary, and the opportunity cost for producing that particular thing would be zero. That means when the resources are limitless, so there is no need for there is no need to sacrifice, so there will be no opportunity cost. Okay. So there is one another term, that is opportunity set, which is a group of potential options or portfolios that one can choose from. In economics, an opportunity set can be illustrated by the budget constraint model, which shows that the possible combination of goods that can be purchased within the consumer budget. So the opportunity set is bounded by the budget line, which represents the limit of the consumer's income. An opportunity set can help investor make decisions based upon their risk and return. So it is basically a set of potential options, and it can help an investor or a consumer to select their portfolio or their options wisely based upon their risk and return nature. Now let us understand the economic system. So there are basically two types of economic system. The first one is free market system and the second one is planned market system. And the different goal of economic system are economic freedom, economic efficiency, economic equity, economic growth, economic security, economic stability, and the economic sustainability. The system is ultimately to be translated into plans, policies, and businesses environment to ensure the welfare of the pupil. And basically, there are four most famous economic systems are capitalism, socialism, communism, and mixed economy. So let us see first the capitalism. So in a nation that adopts capitalism as an economic and political system, the state has no control over the factor of production. That means the government has no control over the factor of production, and individuals own the economical resources and industries, and it emphasizes competition for the resources as a mean for increasing the capital or wealth and developing their personal success. This is a very important. They are developing their personal success. So the key points are individualism and the competition are the basic to the capitalism. Low tax are generally a goal of the capitalism government, and less government intervention is there in the capitalism, and the examples of these countries are Canada and USA. Coming to the socialism, it mainly relies upon the government planning rather than the marketplace to distribute our resources. Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels argued that socialism is the midpoint between the capitalism and the communism, with the means of production controlled by the working class, but with the state guiding the economy on the workers' behalf. So the state provides education, healthcare, and public transportation services for free or at a very low cost. So, and the businesses are usually taxed heavily, and the citizens are expected to work. These are the characteristics of socialism. So the next one is communism, and many people confuses the socialism with the communism. In communism, everything is owned communally or by everyone. There is a spirit of collectiveness, and ideally there is no government or class division or any no money, and each person contributes to the society as per one's best ability and takes away from the society only what is required by him or her. The countries that followed communism are North Korea and Cuba. So coming to the last one, that is mixed economy. So in mixed economy, resources such as land, labor, capital are equally split between the private and the government sector. Even within mixed economy, focus has shifted to the LPG, that is liberalization, privatization, and globalization. So in mixed economy, some portion are controlled by the government, whereas some portion are controlled by the private firms. And the best example of this mixed economy is India. But just remember one thing, communism claims to be the socialist, but the socialists are not necessarily the communist. So the first one is capitalism, where the government has very less intervention, while the second one has the in socialism the government controls major portion, and in the mixed economy some portion are controlled by the government, whereas some other portion are controlled by the private firms. Okay, so this is all for this particular session. Thank you so much for watching.